So the stigma is probably, I didn't really suffer from stigma myself because I kept my using secret, certain substances secret, right up until the end. But the stigma I knew that it was about, and where I grew up was, you know, if you injected, you're a low-life scumbag, you're a junkie, a housebreaker, what am I looking for? Purse grabber sort of thing, you know. So that's the kind of stigma that I grew up with, and that if you did certain drugs, you were somehow lower, you know, other drugs were acceptable, things like cocaine and ecstasy and stuff like that, where heroin and any other like street tablets sort of thing were kind of looked down upon, do you know what I mean? Where I grew up anyway. So I kind of experienced that growing up as a teenager. To be honest, I was in so much denial that I thought I had it under control and I'd managed it for years and years, because things came into my life, especially around about work, which would enable me to continue using, really. So even though I'd been doing homeless and stuff at certain times in my younger years, because I kind of got into the army, that allowed me to believe that I was all right and that I could control my using, but ultimately I couldn't control it. And I always knew that drugs were more powerful than me. I didn't have that language that they were more powerful, but I knew deep down that I couldn't really control it, and it would kind of make me feel that no matter what I achieved, I was somehow going to ruin it, you know, that it wasn't going to last. So kind of like, it's like trying to balance, you know, a head that says I can achieve this and achieve that, and I've got another head that says no, you're not really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I would have people in my life, especially employers, who would point things out, my attributes and stuff, and some things I was good at, but I'd always tune into the negatives in my own head, you know, and kind of knowing that I was going to somehow ruin it, you know. Certainly around my old army pals, I've got one pal really that knows that I spent time in a treatment centre, and I certainly wouldn't, at this moment in time and for the last couple of years, I wouldn't want that kind of information to get to the other people that I knew for a long time in the army, because I'd be worried about what they're thinking of me, you know. Because if you mention heroin, people just think of the guy in the street, you know, tanning hussies and just a low-life scumbag. So it's a bit of fear of what they'll think of me, you know. Which is, but now I've been kind of educated on it, I can actually look at it, and because I know, like the pals that I'm talking about, I know they're doing other substances which they think are, I don't know, all right, which isn't the case, you know. So I kind of feel, I've still got that bit that I wouldn't want people to know the true extent of my drug use. But at the same time, I've now been educated on it, so it's a strange, it's like, I know I'm right and you're just sort of thing, you know. But I think more awareness for the public that, you know, the guy or the lassie who you see standing in the street after a nut, you know, looking like a tramp or whatever, don't really want to be doing that. You know, it's the last place they want to be in, that they're caught up in active addiction. And for my own experience coming into the treatment centre, I discovered that I had trauma that I never knew really was trauma, I just thought it was my upbringing. And you'll find that a lot of people that are caught up in active addiction and are at the base level of it, for a better word, I've probably got some kind of trauma, if no trauma for their past, trauma through their using, you know. So maybe just a bit of awareness that they people are actual people, you know, they're not just, you know, animals. They've got their sons and daughters, and they've got mas and dads, and they've got brothers and sisters. and the last place they want to be is sitting on a street corner begging, you know. So a bit of awareness that they people have got feelings, and they people actually come from somewhere, they're not just landed there, you know, they've not appeared in the corner. And maybe a bit of education as well, I run about addiction. I don't know where that would come from school or from wherever, but a bit of education on actual addiction, you know, and I suppose the trappings of addiction, you know, where it can take you, and also maybe even a bit of education around, I suppose if there's education within addiction, then education about actual, I suppose what I'm trying to say, there shouldn't be stigma around certain substances, you know, because that's what it does. It tells you if somebody's saying one drug's bad, then what they're really saying is another drug's all right, which isn't the case, you know. So, for me, it was Narcotics Anonymous and the people in that fellowship, and also Alcoholics Anonymous, because for a lot of years I thought I was an alcoholic, you know, or I drank alcoholically. I would admit that, but through going to that fellowship, the message was passed to me about Narcotics Anonymous, and that's where I first heard the word addiction, and I didn't understand it, but just something told me that's what I've got whatever this is, I suffer for it. So I started going and kind of seeking that out and finding out what was the matter with me, and then through that the message of a treatment centre got passed to me. And I've heard people say that, and it's in my case as well, that if you'd asked me 2 years ago about what explain rehab, I would have said the Priory in London. It's, you know, and I'm 44 year old, and that's as far as much as I knew about treatment centres, you know what I mean? So for me, what's helped me is Jericho House. It's probably the best thing that's ever come into my life, really. It gave me a place of safety, really, to get the few days, few weeks clean, because I couldn't do it out in the community. I tried for a year, and I couldn't really do it. And so it just gave me a place of safety, really, to somewhere that I could give myself a rest, you know. Aye.